The wind had teeth that morning, and it bit through the seams of Boaz Cutter's coat as he rode alongside the train tracks that bordered his southern field. The sky hung heavy, its clouds the color of pewter, smeared like someone had tried to wipe away the sun. His horse snorted and paused. Boaz saw it then, something small, unnatural, lying still against the winter dust beside the steel rails. Without a thought, he dismounted, boots crunching over frost-coated gravel, and moved toward it. She was curled up on herself, her dress torn at the hem, her hair matted to one side, where dried blood had left a dark stain. There was something written across her face, not exactly pain, but a kind of stillness that only comes from the long struggle of holding back tears. Her lips were pale, cracked. Boaz knelt beside her, and that's when he noticed the note pinned to her collar. The handwriting was neat, but the words were cruel. "Do not return her to our family." She stirred then. Boaz murmured, "Easy now," as her eyes fluttered open. They were the color of ash mixed with river water, water blurry, unfocused. She blinked at him as though she wasn't sure if he was real. Her mouth moved, but no sound came. Her breath fogged in the cold air. Boaz didn't ask what had happened. He didn't need to. He saw everything he needed in her face, the broken silence of someone who hadn't just been hurt, but abandoned. He gently slid his arms beneath her, lifting her. She flinched once, but didn't resist. Her body was lighter than it should have been, yet somehow heavier than he expected. Shame, he thought, had its own weight. He carried her to the horse and carefully helped her onto the saddle, steadying her with one arm as he climbed up behind her. She didn't ask where they were going, and he didn't tell her. They both knew, somehow, that it wasn't back. The house was humble, its wooden bones weathered by years, its windows smudged with the dust and wind. He laid her on the bed that once belonged to his late wife. The fire had long since burned down to embers, but Boaz coaxed it back to life with kindling and care. She slept through it all, shivering beneath the blankets, still, as if too broken to find peace. Later, when the fire had grown strong once more, she stirred. Her eyes opened to the wooden beams above her. "I'll be gone by dawn," she whispered. "You will, if you want," Boaz replied softly, setting a bowl of warm broth by her side. "But not before you've healed some." She looked at him with disbelief, as if kindness couldn't exist without a hidden cost, as if she had been taught that every act of help carried with it cruel interest. He said nothing more, just placed a quilt, his wife's old one, stitched with vines and stars over her shoulders. That night, Boaz stayed in the rocker Bezadeth fire. She mumbled in her sleep. "I didn't mean to shame them," she said to the darkness. "I just wanted to breathe." He looked into the fire, unthought about the first winter without Mary. How he'd sit just like this, hands upon, waiting for a sign the silence wouldn't last forever. He glanced at the woman on the bed and wondered what Kindoff family cast off their own flesh-like freight, and what kind of life taught Simeon to whisper apologies into sleep. At first light, she tried to stand. He heard the floor creak and turned just in time to see her wobble on a bruised ankle. She cursed under her breath and reached for the door. "Ankles no good," Boaz said, not unkindly. "Sticks are in th' corner." She stopped, frozen in place. Pride and panic weighed on her feet. He didn't move. Let her choose. Eventually, she hobbled over grab-a-death sticks and limped her way to He watched through the window. Asa sat in the sunlight, face blank, bottled it upward like she'd forgotten what real light felt like. That afternoon, She fed the chickens with slow, purposeful movements, every limp a prayer of stubborn dignity. She never asked his name, and he didn't ask hers. But when he brought her supper, he said, one afternoon he found her name's Boaz. She looked down at Thebon. He nodded, not pressing more. The days slid quiet and unhurried. Lenora swept the porch each morning, even with a limp, even when wind scattered her work before she'd finished. One afternoon, he found her in the barn brushing the horse with slow, reverent strokes. She likes you, he said. She's the first thing that didn't flinch when I came close. Boaz didn't reply, but the silence between them grew easier to wear, like an old jacket. One morning, he noticed her eye in Therica on the porch, Mary's old seat, untouched since the funeral. Lena approached it. Ben paused. She stepped away, but 2 days later, she sat just long enough to rock forward 2 days, latter and back, forward and back, until her shoulders stopped curling in on themselves. He didn't say a word, but he saw. It was in town that the world reminded her she didn't belong. Bose took her with him to the feed store. Thimmerment, they stepped off the wagon, whispers spun like dust. That the girl left by the 1010 rail. She doesn't even wear a ring. She was always trouble. Inside, the shopkeeper didn't greet. Spoke to Boaz like she wasn't there. You sure about this? Bringing her into town. Boaz said nothing, but rested his hand gently between her shoulder blades, like he was shielding her from a bullet that hadn't been fired yet. Lenora finally looked up. Her voice was even, but thin with restraint. They can whisper all they want. I'm not going to brick again. Boaz nodded, voice low, then let them whisper till their tongues go dry. That night, as the fire crackled and the wind played with the window latch, Lenora stood beside the flames, that night holding a letter she'd found in her fingers trembled as Shoin folded it. The handwriting was set. The words were sharp. You are no longer welcome. Your shame is yours. But at the bottom, scribbled in a different hand, I still light a candle for you every Sunday. Boaz entered the room and paused when he saw her standing there. Let her trembling, hadn't asked. She didn't offer. She just whispered, what if I never get back who he was? He stepped beside her, not touching, just near. Maybe who you were wasn't what you needed to be. She turned her face toward him, but not all Theo. The firelight softened the edgy soft her jaw, made her look less like a stranger and more like someone becoming. Her hand reached down, not for his, but near it. Clothes enough to feel warmth, but not claim it. In the morning, he found her in the barn again. This time, she was mending one of his shirts. Her stitches neat, but trembling. If I'm staying, she said, I might as well earn me keep. Boaz stood in the doorway, hat in hand. Then, I'll put another chair at the table. That evening, as the sky turned copper and blue, she walked tough fire pit outside with the letter Enos. She looked at it one last time, then let the flames take it. The in-car led into smoke. The shame turned tosh. Boaz watched from the porch, arms crossed. When she returned, she just sat beside him, quilt around her shoulders. He didn't ask for more. I think, she said quietly, that train didn't end me. No, Boaz replied. It delivered you. They sat in silence, save for the quiet creak of the rocker. The wind passed over the porch, soft no, more like a hush than how. Her boots rested beside his. The fire crackled, and the world didn't need Tokno. What was spoken between them, insolence. Some women are rescued others are rescued by porches, warm hands, and a silence that never asked them to explain their shame. And if anyone were to ask what Boaz Cutter saw in the girl beside the rails, he'd probably just say enough to carry her home and enough to never let go. Gun. If this story stirred something in you, a memory, a silence, a second chance, don't leave without leaving a mark. Like the video, share it with Simeon, who still believes in quiet kindness. And subscribe for more tales where dignity rises from dust and heart chill under wild skies.